Hi, I'm Hannah Butler. I'm Tamara Doñas.
I'm Carly McGrath.
And I'm Ana Paula Ibanez. And we're going to be presenting the Warka Water Inspiration Project.
So, water deficits is a huge problem globally since about 1.6 billion people are suffering from this problem, which is about a quarter of the world's population. And this is a map that shows which areas and regions have the most and which have the least water deficits. And North America has like many different colors, so they have many different levels. So dark blue is that they barely have water scarcity. And so most of the United States and most of Canada have a lot of water. And Mexico has a lot of different colors, and they have physical water scarcity, economic water scarcity, and little or no water scarcity. And Africa is the continent with most water scarcity.
The ecosystem relies on water to function. Humans, plants, and people need water to function. Water deficits, it affects temperature, food supply, health, and poverty. Every day, around 4,500 children die because they don't have access to clean water. And by knowing all of these problems, we felt more inspired to help and to come up with the Warka Water Inspiration. So at first, we wanted to make a desalination device, but then we found out that it took way too much energy, and well, that wouldn't be good. So we wanted to make a desalination device because basically what it does is it takes seawater or water that has salt in it, and it makes fresh water by heating up the salt water. But the heating process takes a lot of energy. Then we found a magazine article dedicated to the Warka Water Project, which is where we found out the basics about it. So basically the Warka water structures, they take the humidity and water vapor in the air and they transform it into drinkable water. So Arturo Vittori was the Italian architect that created these towers, and he took this project to places like Africa, and he taught the people that lived there how to make these structures so that they could learn how to harvest their own water. So we researched a little bit more about the structure and how they were made. And the materials that you need to make this project are bamboo, metallic wire, ropes, and PE fabric. So then we started searching for these materials, but we realized that bamboo was not exactly very easy to find in Guadalajara. And this is us in one of the markets in Guadalajara, and we found this huge store full of baskets, and we really liked the material that they were made out of. So we found out that the material was called tule, and this is what it's like when it's not in baskets or anything. And yeah, we decided that maybe we could replace the bamboo with tule.
Yeah.
And like we said, tule is used to make baskets, and at first when it's humid, it's really pliable, and once it dries up, it becomes harder and stronger. So this is a video about our tule adventure, and it's basically us going through the market and just getting our tule to our car.
Oops. Oh. Oops. There it is. There.
think heavy?
No.
No.
So we wanted to try to construct our model with this material.
And this is us building our first prototype with tule.
Love is low and it's dimming. The silence is ringing. I can almost feel your breath. I can almost feel the rest. Night is young and we're living. Hands move, moving steady. The time is moving slow. We feel we're getting closer.
And we left this outside for the night, and it had rained. And we found out the next morning that it had collapsed completely because it was not strong enough.
So afterwards, we decided to not make the same mistakes and look for a material a little bit more similar to bamboo.
And the material that we found was really similar, and it was called carrizo. It was much more accessible in Guadalajara, and it was way less expensive.
So we started to construct our model with this material. And our final prototype and our final video for this presentation.
So once we had done the basic structure to hold up the Warka water, we had to find the plastic that we would use inside so that it could make the water.
And we found a material very similar to the one that's originally used. This is the one that they used originally, and this is the one we found. And we found it because my mom, she has a small grocery store where she has vegetables and fruits. And I went there once, and I found out that the fruits and vegetables were often put in these like bags made out of this plastic. And when I saw it up close, I got reminded of the original plastic, so I just took some with me.
And the shape that we wanted to make with this plastic is a cone so that it could fit inside of our Warka water structure.
So, as we stated in our video for like the trailer, is scalable. So the volume of the condensation is proportional to the surface area of the cone. So therefore, if you wanted to make the structure 4 times bigger, your surface area would be 16 times bigger, not 4, because it's 4 squared, so 4 times 4. And this is the actual measurements for our Warka water structure. It's 6 feet high and it's 3.5 feet in the. So we modified the size of our Warka water structure because the original one is 29 feet high and 26 feet in diameter, so it's much bigger.
And the Warka water structure makes water at its dew point temperature. And the dew point is a temperature at which water vapor turns into a liquid, and it's basically condensation.
So for water to form, it's important that the ambient temperature is the same as the dew point temperature, or the dew point temperature is greater than the ambient temperature.
And the more humid it is, the higher the dew point temperature, meaning that there's more water vapor. And at first, we had to test our structure here in Guadalajara, but since there was not much humidity, it made no water at all.
So our next problem was where we would test our model. We needed to find a place where the dew point was higher than the regular temperature. So to get an idea of what this would look like, we decided to look at the temperature in Ethiopia because this is where the original structure is designed for. So this is it. This is the temperature in Ethiopia. This is the temperature and this is the dew point. So this was not what we were expecting because the dew point was almost at the same as the regular temperature, but not quite. It was a little bit lower, so it was definitely not what we were expecting to find, but we figured that maybe it was just the month that we were looking at. And
in Guadalajara, there were no places that would condense any water because, like I said, the temperature was not very good for this project.
And this shows just how little humidity there is because it's supposed to be more towards the 90s or 100s, that's the best. And the dew point is not very close to the regular temperature at all.
We found out that at night, in the beach, the dew point temperature became higher, so therefore we wanted to test our project there.
So we found one beach called La Peñita, and we found out that, so this is the regular temperature and this is the dew point, and as you can see, it's very similar to what we found in Ethiopia, so we were thinking that maybe it could work. So we decided that we would go to La Peñita to test our structure. Now, no water was made here, but the man that worked where we were staying at, he had something to say about this that, was a little bit interesting to us. He said that in the past 3 days, so exactly the time that we had been there, he had to put 3 more buckets of water into his fountain, and that was more than he had to in like the past month. So this showed us that less condensation had been happening specifically in the time that we were there because, he had to put extra water that he probably wouldn't have to if the condensation was happening because that would give the fountain water. So since no condensation was happening at all and, you couldn't see any dew on the cars, which is usually a sign that, dew is forming. And Robert said that most other days, his car had like so much water on the windows and everything, but specifically in those 3 days, he had not had any water.
So therefore we think that in La Peñita, there was no water because of the days that we went there. But our goal is to go back in spring break and test our project again when there's more dew.
So we want to bring our structure to ASFM, our school, and teach all the students how it works
in like just a presentation similar to this one to show them how it works, and hopefully like they can be inspired to also learn more about how to make structures that will maybe make water for your, like on your own too. So this is us next to the final structure. And we've created this website if you'd like to check it out. It just explains a little bit about the Warka water. It shows some pictures that we took while we were making the project and buying the materials. It has the activity that we will project in a second. And yeah, and it has our contact information if you'd like to contact us. And some social media. So, anyone has a question?
Questions? Yeah.
Are you hoping just to like teach people about like the structure, or are you planning something else with this?
Well, we want to show them how it works and how they can create water on their own that's clean and that they can drink. Because we think that this Warka water structure that was created by the architect, it doesn't have very much publicity, like not a lot of people know about it because it just started very recently. So we think that this could maybe show kind of like what it does and just give them more of an idea and maybe a chance to also people like of our age and stuff to make their own Warka water structure.
It's just to inspire people to like do stuff like that.
It seems like you learned or knew a lot of science to do this project.
No, we learned.
Can you talk about that? Like, I mean, how you learned all that science?
Yeah, well, we kind of wanted to know a little bit more about how the water was made, because it was a little bit interesting, you know, how we sometimes in the car we would see some water droplets even though it hadn't rained. You know, I never put too much thought into it. You know, I never would have imagined that maybe it was like maybe you could drink it, you know. But when we found out this, it was like, well, I kind of want to figure out how is this possible, you know. So we researched a little bit about why there's condensation or why there's water in the morning on your car, and we found out all about the dew point. And at times it was a little bit hard to understand about the dew point and all that because it was kind of scientific and it had big words. But eventually we found some kind of pages that had a very simplified way of explaining it, and we mixed that with the more complicated ones, and we found out a kind of basic understanding of how it works. Any more questions?
Well, I think you already answered that humidity needs to be 90s, on the 90s.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen in Guadalajara? Do you think you'll ever be able to use it in
Like recently, like when, maybe as we're speaking right now, the humidity is high in Guadalajara because it's been kind of colder, sometimes raining, which is not usual for Guadalajara, but it is happening, and there's been some fog, which is also a good sign. And it's kind of unfortunate that the same day that fog is forming, finally in Guadalajara, we're in the conference now.
And once the water gets into that, into that bag, let's say inside the Warka, how do they get it out to use it?
Like that's why we want to make it cone, so that the water drops that form in the plastic, they fall down into a plate that's going to be underneath the structure. You know, like using gravity, because the cone, if it's downwards, we're looking at it. Any more questions? So, okay. So we'd like you to make 4 groups between you because you're going to make.
So the 4 tables, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're going to make small versions of the Warka water using tape and some tape. You can tell us if you need If you need more tape, so step one of this activity is just gather all your food. Make sure you have 3 small pieces and 4 short ones. And 4 short ones.
We only have 3 short ones.
3 short ones? Oh, I think
Thank you. Okay.
The second step is to grab the 4 small pieces and make a small square out of them. And then you're going to tape them.
Okay. Go ahead, yeah, you're in charge.
Okay, so then you're going to just put the sticks on the edges and of the skirt, and then put them together at the top, like forming a pyramid, and we'll go through them again. So you just kind of like, it would maybe look like this.
So that's a top view, right?
Yeah, that's the top view of what it would look like. Then add some more sticks on the sides of the pyramid, and just hold them together with tape again at the top to maybe make the structure stronger. And if you have any questions or want us to repeat, we'll repeat them.
Keep up as a square.
Yes.
That involves a little bit of skill.
More tape.
More tape, please. I need more tape.
It's not exactly a square, it's more like a
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like an exact square, it's fine, because in our project, it wasn't an exact
How are we doing? Okay, now we need to take these bottom pieces. Is it the first to get the Warka water done?
Now we have to tape these in.
Yeah, so we get a gallon of water.
Probably doesn't have tape here, just to cover.
Maybe like get somebody to ride on top while you guys put all the ones on the side.
We have more tape. Now, I was thinking about this girl in Benavides that is starting to become an architecture.
Yeah.
I've seen some Gordon.
Yeah.
Yes, more tape. If you more tape here, is that not tape?
Happy to. Nothing in these for.
Hey, don't be copying all of us. It's cheating.
Alright. Gabby, really?
Uh-huh.
Everyone looked at you to see what they think.
AP, more tape also over here. AP.
Yeah, I failed though, because our street's got a problem where I'm at, and that's what I thought they were asking us to do, but, so yeah, in my personal area, yeah.
Yeah, I saw her like thinking also like, so maybe that's some feedback.
Right now, we can take on. I get that. We made 20 places in the process. 40.
Charlie, you hear me talk to that? Good job. Charlie, dude, that's just folded. Here, it won't. Here. That's not big enough.
No.
Hey, watch me do it. You said I couldn't do both, and I'm challenging you. I said I can do both. See what I'm dealing with here?
Hold them together.
So if you guys want to add a little twist to your pyramids or whatever, that's fine. You don't have to be there.
Twist? Like, be a little bit creative if you want to.
What else do we have?
Guys, let's rip it out and we'll do stuff like this. Okay. Yes. Do Why would you rip that?
We also make 40 faces in the process. We made money on our project. We have corporate sponsor.
Oh, sorry.
I am very impressed with you guys made one. That's awesome. Yeah. Whose dog? The dog was really into it.
Yes, he was.
Very And I got your website. I took a picture of your website. So,
You're my
it's
favorite.
funny.
Yeah.
Spring break.
We have more
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking, okay, it's spring well hotter.
Gabby really knows how to. No words. Yeah. They just said that's how you do it. No, you do this so that you can layer it over.
You say after. That's what I used to give you guys.
That's because you guys have to noticing. Guys, I think I know how to do it. Let's go use the tape from this row. No. We need that. Mira, ellos también hicieron recto. We're gonna do this. We have 50, we have 10 minutes. 11 to be exact. I'll be head of the line.
No, you're not in the
Stop breaking
Everyone else is supposed to. Okay, so I see that most of you guys are finished. Yeah? Okay, so I see that you guys are mostly finished except on this group. Yeah, on this group. So, I think that you guys probably had a little bit of a struggle while building, and that shows like our struggles when building this because we had to change our material, and there were multiple different struggles that we had to solve and stuff. So I'm sure that you guys got over it too because you guys finished them and got pretty good. So we also want to, this is like a small version of our actual Warka water. Like this is pretty much how you would make a real one, but of course much bigger. But this is pretty much how you make it, imagining the tape is rope and probably just adding rope around it, but that would just like be additional tape to just kind of roll around or something. So this is just basically how you would do it, and it's, as you can see, they're pretty simple to make once you got the materials and everything lined up. And like Hannah said, you could have had some struggles, which demonstrates our teamwork and how we had to work many days on this project, because we did not just make 2 prototypes. Sometimes the rope would get stuck and we had to untangle it, and it was not that easy to make.
Yes, so we hope that this inspires you, whether you take this structure back to wherever you live, or whether you want to like research more on ways to conserve water or to bring water to your communities.
And also hope you make your own Warka water.
Yeah, you can try it.
I mean, test it out. Show
You
it
can
to
try it.
right?
Good job.
Very good.
Well, do you have any more questions or comments you want to make?
Ideas for
Do you guys have any like
project?
comments or ideas or anything that you guys think that maybe we should do in the future?
On your website, are you going, since you're going on spring break, are you going to put pictures to see maybe
Yeah, I'm
if
sure
it
we will.
worked
And
out?
also in our like social media, if we have an Instagram, we'll be posting some more pictures
So
too.
follow up.
When you're ready to go build one over in another country, let me know. We'll help facilitate it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great opportunity.
Excellent.